Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming back for another story. Tonight, I want to talk about the night that I witnessed a miracle at my home when I was a kid. This happened in about 1972. So I was about 8 years old, and my Aunt B had come over from Canada to visit for a couple of weeks. That was my mom's sister. Aunt B was very religious, just like our family was. We're Roman Catholics. My Aunt B was originally going to become a nun, but she had met her husband at the time. They got married. They had 5 kids. Long story short, he was an abusive alcoholic, so she divorced and she never, ever remarried again. This woman, outside of a nun, I have never seen anybody more pious in my life. Very religious, very proper. I just really love my Aunt B, except she was really cheap. Like, no kidding, extremely cheap. But anyways, I love my Aunt B. It's just a little joke about her. Anyway, she came over. We picked her up at the train station and she come over for a visit. Well, one night we decided to watch the 700 Club. My parents watched it all the time, and I believe it's actually still on TV. Back in the day, the host used to be a gentleman by the name of Pat Robertson. We're all sitting in the living room. My dad had his chair that he sat on. My mom had her own special chair. And me and my aunt were sitting on the couch. And Pat Robertson was saying that there is somebody out there, meaning the viewing audience, that has some kind of growth on the side of their eye. And he wanted to pray for everybody. They needed to call in so that they could pray for whoever had this growth. That it would be healed. My mom said, "Oh, Bill, that's you. That's you with the side of your eye." What had happened years before that? Because my dad was a carpenter, and he had hit a chisel and it came up and it hit him in the eye. The scar that it left was protruding to a point where my dad no longer had peripheral vision out of his left eye. He could not look left anymore. And that scar tissue was just sitting up there. Anyways, my Aunt B says, "Yeah, call in the prayer." So you would call in prayer requests. My mom got up and called in a prayer request for my dad. After the prayer requests were called in, what would happen is they would say, "Okay, well, we have a prayer request for a gentleman in Michigan. He had gotten hit in the eye with a chisel, and now he has scar tissue. And we are all going to pray in the name of Jesus that he be healed from this." We got on our knees, me and my Aunt B, and we were praying. My mom and my dad were also praying. And after the prayers were over with, we just kind of, got up and we sat back down on the couch. And Pat Robertson had said, "Whoever you are, you have been healed in the name of Jesus." And my mom looked over at my dad, like this all happened within just a few seconds. My mom looked over at my dad and said, "Oh my God, Bill, it's gone. There's nothing on your eye anymore. It's gone." And my dad started feeling around, and then my mom actually came over to the chair he was sitting on and was looking for it, like it fell off or something. She was like looking down in the side of the chair. And my dad was like, "I can see out of the corner of my eye." And then my Aunt B just fell on her knees and started praying. And then my mom started praying and my dad. And then I just kind of followed suit because I'm a kid. So I'm praying too. And we're thanking God for this miracle. That was the very first miracle that I remember witnessing. At the beginning, as we're sitting there, my dad's got this big, huge piece of scar tissue right on the corner of his eye. All of our heads were down. We were all praying. My mother looks at him and says, "Oh my God, Bill, it's gone." And it was gone. There wasn't a mark. It didn't look like it was ripped off, nothing. We all sat down and we prayed. What I find very interesting about this is that it wasn't just us that was praying. First of all, if you look back, like biblically, what God says is where two or more are gathered in my name, then he is there too. There's us four, and then there was the 700 Club, and who knows how many thousands of people were out there praying that my dad be healed from this. Who knows how many people it takes. But all I know is you gather that much energy and miracles happen. Because that wasn't the only miracle that I saw, but that left a huge imprint on me as a child. I mean, my dad died in 1989, and we were still talking about that. We were still telling that story. It was just the first time that I remember looking and seeing something, and literally within minutes it being completely and totally gone and healed. There's so many ways that we can look at that. Well, was it a religious thing? Was it Jesus? Was it God that we believed had healed? Was it the energy? Was it a huge group of people praying for somebody to be healed, and they actually were healed? Now that I'm an adult and it's 52 years later, that still left an imprint on me that I know that we can be healed. I'm not quite sure how it happened or why it happened, but all I know is that it did happen. And that was a little story that I wanted to tell about my dad's miraculous healing of his eye. Thank you very much again for listening, and I will be back with another story. Happy 4th of July.